core engine which actually does browser-based automation well. Now, with till 5.0, what we had been focusing on has been the core engine. It needed to be solid, it needed to be reliable, and it needed to be fast. Now, we did quite a bit of it in 5.0, and what we focused on in the 6.0 version was to make the overall process of script authoring and the peripheral things of you know, creating and targets, triggering it from Jenkins, etc., more easy to configure. Okay. Apart from that, we worked on allowing more information to be available in reports, and the reporting itself has been enhanced uh, to give you better graphs, to be able to search for scripts easily. And apart from that, when an error occurs in a particular script, more information is now available at the failure point. For example, stack traces are available for whenever an error occurs, which function called at what line, and which function called the inner function, like the whole stack trace is available in the logs, which takes you to the line of code in the script. Apart from that, we also have screenshots being taken automatically in case of failure. Okay, and this particular feature is actually implemented as a callback function on on-script failure and on-script error, but there is now a globally included file called global-include.sh, in which it is possible to add these commonly used global functions and maybe define these callback functions of on-script error, on-script failure, etc. We also added better functionality on better support for bringing windows into focus and making sure that the window that we want to take a screenshot of remains in focus. Now, during playback, it so happened that multiple browsers would be executed in parallel, and we wanted to make sure that the screenshot of the right window would appear in the logs. For that, we implemented a locking mechanism on the window, such that if you there's an API called lock window which can be triggered before taking screenshots. Apart from that, we also have APIs for comparison and taking of screenshots. So far, the screenshots that we had been taking had been of the entire window, which is the entire window screen. Now, with this version onwards, the take page screenshot API allows you to take screenshots of only small portions of a particular page. One is, it allows you to take the screenshot of just the browser window itself, and if there is a scroll bar, it will automatically scroll and take a full screenshot of it. The other thing is, if at all there is if you wanted to take a screenshot of a single element, it was also possible to take that. It is now also possible to do that. Apart from this, like, we also have compare images API, which uses a third-party tool called Graphics Magic, which is a free tool. With that, it is possible to compare two images and get a score and be able to assert on the particular score. So this allows us to handle some tricky areas, like, let's say, a graph which needs to be compared, but the graph itself is maybe a PNG or some other complex element which is not easily identifiable or verifiable via the DOM. In that case, it may make sense to actually take a screenshot and compare them. So that is another thing that is possible now with this release. And but the overall, so if you look at the daily usage of the product, I think what will be most relevant and what will be very in your face is the new editor that has come up. So as I mentioned, right, like, the overall, the focus has been on ease of use and making the overall product easier to use, and wherever there were tricky areas, to simplify it. So the approach we have taken is to give good user interfaces to do all these things. So let me show you like what we have now. If at all you would like to read about like what we are specifying, what we are actually talking about now, um, on the main sahipro.com/docs URL, on the left hand side is Sahi Pro 6.0 what's new, which actually lists many of the things that I'll be talking about right now. Okay, now let me start with the demonstration itself now. So this is the dashboard with the different browsers installed on it. This is the starting point of most scripting that we do. I click on a browser, let's say Chrome here, and I'm going to record a simple script. This is the same as like what we have always been doing, but there is a slight difference to how we will do this time. First is there is the concept of an object repository which stores all the objects in a single location. So if at all you have a project, you can ask Sahi to keep all the different elements in a single location, all the elements accessors itself. So in order to do that, it's now possible to just record, let's say I give it as web1.sh, and I check this checkbox which talks about the object repository file, and here I give it a name of web_or.sh. Now if I do this and then click on record, now actions that I perform now, okay, will be recorded in a particular way. So this is the standard demo that we normally use. So test secret and then like login. So you'll see that instead of storing the accesses themselves, it's storing it in variables. Now this was available before too, but you'll see that this is all very well integrated now into the controller itself. Now I clicked on add. I'm going to verify the total. I control hover on the grand total here. Click on assert and choose this assert equal and append to script. Okay, and then log out. Now this is a simple script that we have created. How does the script look? Now we can click on the script editor here to launch the script editor, and this launches in your default browser on your machine. Okay, and this is the script that we have just recorded, web1.sh, and look at what it looks like. So previously this would have looked something like underscore text box user. This is what it would have looked like, but now it has been replaced with a variable. Okay, and what is this variable itself? So you can bring out the context on the right hand side, and when we do that, if we double click on any of these elements, it will give us what that particular element is. Okay, so it tells us that this particular element text box queue, this is like submit login, etc. Now this is not very different from what it was. The only thing is these, instead of actually directly writing it here, they have been put into this web_or.sh. Now if I were to open this file, you'll just see that it is just variables assigned to the elements themselves. So it is easy to actually just keep them all in one location. Okay, now if you were to write lots of scripts, you would always define while recording that it has the same object repository. In that case, it will reuse and correctly reuse the already existing repository entries and not create duplicate ones. So if at all it encounters another login button and another you go through the same sequence in another script, it will take the correct object repository values there. Now you can play back from the controller, from the editor, playback editor itself. Now you can also play back from this from the controller. I'm going to close these browsers and then, but instead launch it from here. Okay, so I can specify the browser that I want to execute it on. It shows me which browsers are available. Okay, and it it shows me the script that I'm running, and the start URL I can specify, and I can say that okay, I want to run this in parallel. This is the default setting. So if at all there are multiple scripts, it will run them in parallel. But if there is only one script, it will execute it normally. So I click on run. What this is doing is it has launched a browser, okay, and it will execute this particular script, right? And it finished it. So it says that success on Chrome. The logs can be viewed from here. So this is the log that we just ran. This is the script that we just ran, okay. And this is normal as it was. You see that the values etc. are visible, and even the OR entries are correctly visible here. You don't really like you can click on it and see what was the OR entry if you wanted to. Now this is a simple script. We would normally want to create business keywords out of this. For that, what we can do is we will highlight highlight a group of steps which denote a particular functionality. For example, in this case, these 3 steps denote login. So choose them and click on create login, okay, and give it a name of, for this case I'm giving it as wlogin, because there are other login functions in the overall scripts directory, so I don't want it to confuse with this, so I'll use this. And similarly, so what it has done is like it has created a function, it has parameterized it where required, and it has called that particular function, okay. You can also change these. Similarly for this, for completeness sake. So now what we have here is different functions and those keywords being called. Now if you look at this, all the function definitions are in the same file itself and the functions are being called. Another thing that you would next do is move all these functions into a file of its own, so that you create a library file kind of thing. And you can do this by clicking on new and then copying this over here and then saving this file. And let's say, okay. Now this has been saved. We'll also move the object repository include into this particular thing. So here we have all the functions defined and the web object repository here. Now let us look at, so this particular file, we have moved all the functions to another file. So let's click on any of these, okay? Any of these functions. When I click on the function name, it actually gives me the file path where it is weblet.sh. This is the function itself, and these are the parameters it takes. Okay, so this has been picked from here. Now, if I wanted to change this, I'm saying that instead of 2, let's say I want to use it as 1, I'm using 2. Okay, I can update this and it will update it here to say 2. Okay, so that is one way. And the other thing is like, that is one thing. The other thing is that if you want to know like what the function definition is of any particular function, it's very easy to just like click on it and see what it is here. And you can also open the particular file needed. This particular file is showing up as red because this file hasn't been included in the script. So what we can do is like, if we can click on include, it will include that weblet.sh file, and now we know that okay, this has been included, so it's black now. Right? So here we have, so we can execute the script. We'll do the same thing. I'll run it from here. Okay, let me actually change it to another URL. In fact, what it did was like it failed there and took a screenshot. I'm going to play it back on a local server so that doesn't affect. So here it's sorry. Sorry about that. There's another navigate to. Yeah. So here I play back again. I'm not sure why the server is down, but here we are. We'll play it back again. Now this time it will run locally. It's like quickly finishing it off, and it says success on Chrome. We'll look at the logs, and if you look at the logs now, um, this is the one we just ran. And these are the functions that we actually executed, and we can open it up as normally we do and click on any of these to go to the line of script. This is all similar to what we already had. Okay. Now in case of failure, this is what it looks like. This was the last one which failed, and it says that could not connect to web server this standard, and here it says that like it couldn't find that set value. This is because the page was not loaded, and here is a screenshot of it. Okay, this has like some of the questions that are there, but this is a screenshot of the error that happened here. Okay, so now what Sahi does is, like, when there is a failure, it brings it takes a screenshot of it automatically. Now let me actually force it to have a failure here and then see what goes wrong here. I'm going to change it to 2 so that the total is incorrect, and then play this back. So it's going to execute. It's not right now in focus. It brought it into focus, took a screenshot, and then down. Okay. Now let's look at the logs. So here again, this one is red. Open it up, and here is a screenshot of what happened at that particular time. And you see that this is just the browser window screenshot. It's not the full screen. It's just the browser window. Even if it had been like a little smaller, it would take the screenshot correctly. Okay, so it would have automatically scrolled and taken the screenshot. Now we mentioned the object repository part. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to the recorder. Okay. So I'm going to open another browser here and go to the sample application. And here, if I were to bring up the controller and say that I'm not recording right now. I may record another script, let's say, but let's say that I'm not recording at all. And in this case, when I hover on the element, okay, it shows me the OR key that is actually stored in the object repository. Now this is useful because you may actually say that, hey, let me look at somebody seems to have trouble with a particular accessor. Let me go to that particular element. Okay. And here I see that this is mentioned as Q1, but it is using an index. I don't want it to use an index. So instead I want to change it to use a near API. For that, what I do is I hover on Ruby for Rails, click on the anchor button and come back here. Okay. Now it tells me that this is the element OR key, but the value now when I'm changing it is this. I can actually save this to have the OR like this. So I can click on Save Object Repository. Okay. And this would have saved it in the object repository file. So we can actually look at it by clicking here. You'll see that this has changed, right? Now the interesting thing is, again, coming back to, if somebody else came back to this particular application, and let's say this is somebody else recording another script. They have the object repository chosen and they hover on this Ruby for Rails. It is identified as this, but you can see that this correctly, it gives you what you identified it as. So what is the implication of it? Let's say there are like 5 different testers in your team, and somebody has smartly identified elements on a few screens. Now when somebody else works on the same screens, they don't need to try and identify the same thing using near, etc., and make sure that their script is correct, etc. They just use the object repository. It will automatically choose the right accessors and the right object repository key and use it in the scripts. So it prevents people from duplicating effort of finding smart accessors for elements. Okay, so if one has already done it, it will automatically be used if the object repository is chosen correctly while re-recording another script. Other things that you can do are that, like in the script editor, you can actually play back on multiple browsers. So you can say, let's say Chrome and Firefox I want to run it on, and I can say run. So it will run it on both browsers. Okay, and so it's running both Chrome and Firefox right now. So I can actually I'll bring these up so that you can see them. So it's putting in data, like it'll actually the Chrome came up first for the screenshot, brought into focus. Now the Firefox came into focus and took a screenshots. And similarly, you have the logs for both of these. This is for one and this for the other. So you can verify that, okay, this came up correctly. Now on the topic of screenshots, one thing you can do is, and let me show you the screenshotting ability for a full page with a scroll bar, and also for specific elements in a particular page. Okay, so for that, the script that we want is, we can look at page screenshot. This is part of the demo scripts that come with Sahi, so you can use them. So here is the API. It can say take page screenshot, in which case the full page will be taken. Take page screenshot of a particular element you can pass in. Okay, there are other parameters which you can read up on the documentation, but like this is the element that we want to take a screenshot of. Similarly, after going to the particular page, I'll just change this because that server seems to be causing us trouble. And we're taking the screenshot of the overall page of table 4 and table T4. Okay, so let's run this. Came into focus. It's scrolling now. Okay, and then once more for different screenshots, and this is a 2-page, there are frames etc in this, like it's actually going to scroll the bottom frame and take the screenshot of particular elements there. Okay, it's finished that particular script. If you look at the logs of this is a screenshot of the overall screen. Okay, and then this is of a particular element here, so it just took this particular thing. If you see this, like this is a scroll bar, the scroll bar must have ended somewhere here and then like started again here, so it has taken the screenshot of that. And similarly, a take page screenshot of the full one with the frames looks like this, and the take page screenshot of table 4, which was actually like under this in this table test screen, has been taken and put here, and similarly this. So this allows you to take screenshots of specific areas, specifically graphs etc in your application, or if you have a configurable application and you wanted to check that the new logo has come up etc, this can be used. Okay, apart from just taking a screenshot, there is also an assert snapshot API, which are like assert equal images is also available, wherein you can actually verify that 2 different images look the same. I'll show you a log of that particular thing. Assert snapshot. So here, if we were to say, okay, this is the reference image of, and use it against the current window, it will take the screenshot. These are 2 windows, and this is the difference image that it shows, and the threshold value that it got was 8. So here the threshold value is set as 20, so it says that okay, they are similar. So you can tweak the threshold value to make sure that the match is correct for yourself. And similarly, these are 2 images which are absolutely similar, so the difference is blank, and so like it actually like passes saying that assert snapshot is the same. So these are the reference image. So assert snapshot reference.png, this image has been given as a reference, and this is the table info box biodata is what it needs to take a screenshot of. It has taken that, and then like it is comparing the difference here. Now this is screenshotting the error logs itself. So if I were to show you the error logs, you'll see that this, it gives you the stack trace here correctly of where it was called from. So this is where it was called from, verify total, and this is the line inside that particular function which failed. And you also get the automatic screenshot when an error happens. So this screenshot is available. How are these? How is this being done? It is being done by a particular file called global include.sh. Which has code for on-script error and on-script failure defined in it. You can redefine these if you want, but like this basically, if the browser is not responding, take a full window screenshot. If it is responding, take a just that particular page screenshot. You lock windows, unlock windows, etc. as required. So there are defaults here which are available, which can be modified if you want, but this is automatically available to you. And the thing to note is we did not include global include.sh file. It is automatically included. If you just define this, it will automatically be included. Okay. Now, so far we have looked at how the script itself looks and works from the editor. Now, the next thing that you can do is like create scenario files from the editor itself. Now, scenario files are Excel-like user. It uses an Excel-like user interface where you can specify these keywords that you have created and the parameters you can pass in. So, I'm going to create a new scenario file here, and I'll just remove this row, and this is a blank scenario file. We haven't like done anything in this. I'm just saving this as webun.s.csv. It'll automatically save it like that. So here now this doesn't know about anything else. This is a blank file right now, just a few lines. Now I can just start typing here and it will show me all the functions that are available. So these functions are being fetched from everywhere in the scripts directory. Any function that is available in the scripts directory will be visible here. So I can choose this and I can see the function details by clicking on the function details button at the top. So this shows me that, okay, this is the double login function name. These are the different parameters. I can click here and put in the values. Okay. And similarly, add books, etc. Okay. So I can do the same thing here, like 2, 3, 1, etc. And also, like it says that this particular thing, it shows up as orange because this file hasn't been included. So I click on include and it includes that particular file at the top. Okay. I can remove this help row. So here we have the script itself. Like you can easily, non-technical programmers can, non-technical testers can easily build their test cases here, like by creating a scenario and auto completing for keywords that are already available in the overall system. Okay. Now there is another thing that we could do, like because I'm going to remove these two rows because we already recorded a particular script, and if we want to convert this to, let's say, a scenario file, what we can do is go back to that scenario thing and click on, I'm copying over those tests or those functions which I need, and going here and saying, okay, import these things. I'll remove the blank spaces. Click on import. So what it does is it creates this particular, it has actually added these entries correctly into this. So it allows you to easily move from existing script that you have to a scenario file if you want more participation from non-programmers, etc. Okay. Now, if this is a script, we can of course run this from here. So this is failure. Again, if you look at the logs, here it shows you the similar. So this looks like the Excel sheet itself, and if you click on it, it will show you like what values are passed exactly. Like the rest of the information is similar, and it also has a screenshot. Now, creation of this scenario has been made much simpler. So like you can just use it right from the editor itself. Now you can also parameterize it. I'm not sure like you've seen data-driven CSV before, but you can, let's say, you say $Java, $Ruby. and let's say this is the total. So we are parameterizing the things that we want to like pass and verify. And if I save this, I can actually trigger this from a new data driven suite. So I can say like I want to create suite data driven suite, and here I can specify that the file that I want is web1 .s.csv, and I can specify that okay, this is the start URL, and specify, let's say I say that this belongs to the smoke tests, and it belongs to the admin module. Let's say these are tags that you can add to any script, and you can during execution you can specify what tags you want to execute, and pick and choose and execute only those particular scripts. So here, like we want to actually pass in Java, Ruby, and Python in total. So we can do this. Let's say 2, 3, 1, and then like 50. This is the normal values that. So you can actually create a script for data-driven suite like this and execute it. I already have one, so I'm just going to open that up. So here's a similar script with different values here, and I've put in tags saying that okay, this is smoke and this is smoke. So there is another. This one will be like. So web1.sh I'll execute here. Let's say. Okay, and let me fix the value here so that this one doesn't fail. Having done all that, I'm going to execute this. So playback. I can say that I want to execute only smoke scripts and scripts which match the smoke tag. The browser is the same. I want to execute it in parallel and run. So this is running 2 scripts. You can see that like it's running 2 scripts and it finished. Okay, and it says failure on Chrome. We can see what happened there, but because this one should have failed, and I think yeah, logs. So this is what it looks like when you look at the logs for a failed script, and web2.csv.s.csv does not exist. Just give me 1 second. Okay, this one is web1. I'll just rename this. So we've renamed this, so now it should execute correctly. 2 scripts executing. Now the thing is like right now we are executing these on a single machine. We may want to. They ran in parallel and gave you reports. Now let's say that you have lots of these scripts. You can pick and choose like multiple. This could have like thousands of scripts, and if you wanted to execute all of them, you may want to not just use one machine but also use multiple machines for playback. So I have another VM running with like Sahi running on it. Okay, and I'm going to run these scripts on these other instances also. So this is the other instance that I have. I can actually specify which nodes I want to execute it on. I can specify it here, and once I do this, like these are the distribution nodes. If I say run, what it's going to do is it's going to right now what will happen is there are only let me remove this tag so that like there are more scripts running. But the thing is there are only 5 scripts, so it will all execute on the other machine because the number of threads available there is 5. So let me show you anyway. I run this, and you'll see that on this machine it has started executing scripts. Okay, now these are like multiple browsers, but like that server is down, so like you may get errors there. What I can do is I can show you a previously run. So I had run like a lot of scripts before. This is the demo suite that we run, which has lots of test scripts, and we ran it on 2 different nodes. And this is the node report for it. It says that like this is these many scripts were run on this node, these many scripts were run on this node, and this is the overall report of it. Okay. Now this one also failed, and failed saying that everywhere it would have said that it couldn't go past the first stage because like the URL was it wasn't able to access that particular URL. Now The other things that like have changed are that like these graphs on this page have become different, and they actually show more information. It shows you how many scripts ran, how many passed, and how many failed, and also the overall time taken in this particular blue graph. So if you had lots of runs, you would get a nice graph showing, hey, is the time increasing for the same number of scripts or decreasing for the same number of scripts? Have the scripts increased, and has the time taken for it proportionally increased or disproportionately increased? You'll be able to get all that information from here. You can also search right now. You can do so right now we ran web2.s.csv individually, and also sometimes we ran it from inside a suite. So right now it's possible to actually say that, okay, I want to search for the script, and it'll show me all the runs. Okay, it will show me wherever it was run from. Either it was run by itself or it was run from inside a suite. It will show you all of those. Okay, so this helps you. So this helps you, find the track record of a particular script, whether it was run through a suite or outside of a suite. Okay, and we have also added these pagination on the reports page, so that if you wanted to look at an older run, you can easily do that using these pagination links. So you can go back and forth in these. So one other major thing that is useful is that when you actually choose these things, there are different ways by which you can execute. One is you can have your own machine as the master and distribute it across multiple nodes, or you can also say I want to use a different master and specify that, okay, this is the machine that I want to use as the master instead of my own machine, and it will trigger, all the logs will be stored on that master. The master will be the guy who will be distributing the scripts to different slave nodes. So you can, when is this particular thing useful? It is useful when you're using it with Jenkins. Now when using with Jenkins, a lot of people struggle with, hey, my Jenkins is a almost it's a Linux server without any user interface. Where do I put the browser? Where do I trigger Sahi from? Where are the scripts pulled to? So what we have done is, we have if you actually specify that, let's say that like this your Jenkins machine is this. Okay, and now you want to distribute the actual scripts on these two nodes. These two nodes have so these two nodes have Sahi installed on them. Okay, and you can specify that, okay, like use the third machine, another machine as the master. Okay, that also has Sahi installed on it. Now if you created an AND target out of this, you can actually use the create AND target here. It gives you the full AND target on how to use this. Okay, so you can actually take this particular AND target and use this as your starting point in Jenkins. Okay, and all your Jenkins needs to do is like have a couple of jars which are shipped with Sahi. You do not have to install Sahi on the Jenkins machine. You just take this particular AND script and then call the AND target. Jenkins does not need to have Sahi installed on it, because the master is different. Jenkins will give the command to another to the master to execute all the scripts, and the master will distribute it across different machines, execute scripts, get the reports, and Jenkins will pull it back when the overall scripts have completed. So for that, like you can actually see that, if you actually look at this, it'll distribute it across different from a different master and on to different nodes. It also actually specifies that, the script directory which has been pulled from your Git or SVN on Jenkins, you can specify that, okay, this is the root folder where all the scripts exist. So when you call this AND target, it will copy these scripts from your Jenkins machine to the master machine which is running on some other machine, and execute all the scripts and then pull back all the logs onto this particular Jenkins machine itself. So what this helps you do is you don't have to worry about installing Sahi on Jenkins. In fact, it should never be on the Jenkins machine, because it will slow down the overall processing of Jenkins itself. So it's better to actually you can have Jenkins as a Linux machine. have another, so since most of the testing needs to be done on like a Windows based browsers, you may have like other Windows machines running with Sahi installed on them, and then you can have Jenkins trigger the scripts on these Windows machines, and then at the end it will automatically pull the logs. So all this plumbing of copying over scripts, pulling back the logs, etc., is already taken care of by this AND target. So you can just use this AND target to execute. There are other advanced settings that are available here, which is to say, okay, do I want to create offline reports? What kind of reports do I want? What are the locations in which I would like to get these reports? Should I send email reports at the end of it? Okay, so when should I send it? During success or failure, or like or on both? So you can actually choose which ones. You can say I want it only on failure or on both success and failure. This is the email properties file. If you can actually edit this has the username, password, etc., that you can configure. Okay, and there are extra parameters that you can pass to the overall suite itself and user defined ID. These are all like specific things that you may want to do in very rare cases. These are all well documented. You should be able to see those. So with all these parameters, you can create AND targets and just use those AND targets. You do not have to like go through documentation to figure out what is the node, what is the tag name, what are the different attributes and properties, etc. Okay. And the documentation itself. So as I showed you, like if you go to sahipro.com/docs, it'll take you here in Sahipro what's new. You can go to 6.0 and see what's new. So it shows you the editor, what the way you run Jenkins. So like Jenkins, the scripts are stored in Git or SVN. Jenkins pulls these, and then using our AND target, it copies it to the master. The master executes on the different nodes, and then after it is finished, Jenkins can now pull it back using the Sahi's AND target itself. So the scripts are, everything is handled by the AND target itself, the distribution and the pulling back of the reports. The object repository is what I showed you. This better reporting with the screenshots and the comparison, etc., the improved graphs and ability to search inside a particular suite also. And the other thing that we have added are native events. So previously we could only do native events for key press. Now we have native clicks also available, so you can just say underscore click native and pass in the particular element. It'll click it. This is useful when you're doing, let's say, some tricky file upload which uses a custom component. In those cases, like, you may be able to use this. Yeah, most of the others, like, you should be able to actually see it from the webs on the documentation page. Now that's pretty much like the summary of what we have for this particular webinar. If you have any questions, we have some time. If you have any questions, please let us know. I'll answer it on the chat. Another thing is, like, we'll be sharing this video with you. If you have any queries, you can email us at support@sahipro.com or sales@sahipro.com, depending on what your query is, and we'll get back to you on that. So I'll just see if there are any queries that have come in. If you have any queries, please like send it over. Okay. So can we compare screenshots taken in different browsers? Yes, you can. There may be like slight differences, but because of the threshold value that you use, you can specify what threshold value it is and specify that, okay, this is the similarity that I want. Like roughly similar is okay, then it'll be fine. So it does not matter like the reference image can be taken from any image. So you can just like take a screenshot before, and then let's say from Firefox, and then use it in a script as the reference image and run it on Chrome. It should be fine. There's no you can compare it across different browsers. Can the snapshot be saved to a different location? Yes, underscore like take snapshot has a take page screenshot has a parameter where you can specify what location you want to save the image in. So by default, it will put it in a temporary location and make it available in the logs. But if you specify a particular path, it will save it in that particular path. You can also say that, take a screenshot but don't add it to the log, so that also is possible. It will just take a screenshot and keep it. This is how you should normally take a reference screenshot. So you run it first, like ask it to actually take a screenshot of that particular element, take the reference screenshot, and then use it, like modify the script to do um, assert snapshot with that reference image. Um, Schedule execution, you can schedule the execution. So if you look at the editor, um, you can do something like this. So in playback, just give me a second. You can say schedule, okay, and specify the date and time and some description on it. But know that this is right now in beta. We do not have a editor or a UI by which you can modify or look which ones are scheduled, etc. If at all you actually schedule it right now, it's available in a particular XML file wherein you can go in and edit it as to, if you want to edit it or cancel it. But if you schedule it right now, and if Sahi is running, it will run it at that particular time. So this is something that we'll be working on more on this. Okay. So can we use the compare images to compare pixels to find out misalignment issues? Yes, you can. So different images, like if you want an exact match, you can say that the exact match, the overall threshold score should be 0, so that will be an exact match. If you like give it some leeway, it'll give you a report you according to that particular uh, threshold that you specify. So the way to look at it is like there are two different images. Comparing them will always give a score. Now the score is 0 if they are absolutely equal, and the score will be like some other higher value if they are very dissimilar. Okay. Now you run it and see what the scores look like for like two similar looking images, and you decide what is acceptable to you and specify that in the assert snapshot API. So when you call the assert snapshot API. So based on that, if you want like exact matches, you can do that for CSS comparison also. If you want like slight differences, it's okay. But sometimes what happens is like the whole the whole image might have the image in a web page may have just wrapped up and come below another image. So while in one browser it may have been side by side. Those things will be easily caught using this the assert snapshot. Okay, for distributed testing, do we require to install the tool, or is there any test executor available? Right now, you do need to install it on all the nodes where you want Sahi running, but we are working on an easier way of deploying this to those nodes where you want to execute it on. So will you be adding browser support for older browsers? We already support IE6 onwards. So IE6, IE7 onwards. If you have any trouble, let us know. We can actually fix those issues for you. So we support IE6 onwards. Like if you're talking about older than IE6, no, we do not support it. One question is like, does the Sahi support testing on a Safari browser on Windows? Yes, it does. One question is, other than in recording, do we have a way to collect all the objects of a page? It's not available through the UI itself, but it is fairly simple to actually write something to do that. If you could drop us an email at support@sahipro.com, we will be able to get back to you with a simplistic solution for that. Okay, what happens when we run the test in Phantom.js? Right, so right now the screenshot seems to be of the browser of the window itself, as in like of a live window, let's say. In Phantom.js, since there is no UI available, what do we do? So for Phantom.js, these APIs have been specifically tweaked for Phantom.js to use the internal APIs of Phantom.js that give you screenshots. So if you run it on Phantom.js, you will anyway get screenshots. But in Phantom.js, there is no size concept for frames, iframes, etc. So it will anyway be like fully expanded. So the screenshot that you'll get may or may not correspond to what you will be getting on a real browser. But screenshot itself is supported. Okay. One issue of IE7 related I think this should be addressed as a support issue. If you could drop in an email, we'll be setting up a go-to-meeting session with you and um, figuring out how to fix it. Okay, so there's a question about like, will we support Eclipse as the editor? Okay, now the thing is, Eclipse support for JavaScript has not been great, and we had waited for a long time for the JavaScript support to get better in Eclipse, especially the way we use it, and we figured that it's not gonna happen because, like, we don't control that. So, and another reason why we went the web way was that many of the testers are a little um, wary of using an Eclipse like tool because, like, they're just not used to it. Now, having said all that, that is the reason why we have a web-based script editor right now, and that this will be one of the things we'll constantly enhance. Eclipse can still be used for Sahi scripts. It's just JavaScript files, so you can still use Eclipse for editing JavaScript files. That it should be fine. If it works for you, use it. NetBeans also has a fairly good JavaScript editor if you want to use it for editing. So it's just plain text JavaScript files, so you should be able to do that in either of these editors. We will, no, I'm not saying, I shouldn't say we will, but like most probably we will be revisiting support for Eclipse, because now we have our own parsers, etc., which actually parse the script and get us the relevant information. So we may be able to write a simple editor for inside Eclipse to do pretty much what we do here using Eclipse itself. But that is not in our immediate pipeline. Okay, so there's one other question which about like total number of tests passed, failed, etc. I'm unable to understand it, so like if you could just drop in an email, it'll be such an yeah, such an query. So if you could just like email me. Can we create a dynamic suite? That's a good question actually. You can actually do that. You can just like choose these scripts and say you can just choose these and say playback, and it will say selected scripts. This is a dynamic script that it has created and it will execute it. So you can, based on the scripts, if you've chosen 2 or 3, it will actually create a dynamic suite at that time and execute it. Another thing, another way to look at it is like you have a static suite like this, and then you put in different tags, and based on the tags, when you execute, you give the correct tag, and it will execute only those tags. That is another way to do the same thing as dynamic creation of suites. By the way, if you choose these things and actually specify, if you were to say create suite, it'll do pretty much like what I did manually. So is it possible to perform remote execution? If you're talking about having scripts somewhere and then triggering it on other machines, yes, you can. If it is anything else, please drop us an email on that. What is the difference between using a user written AND script and using it in Jenkins and create an AND target in Sahi? Nothing much really. It just makes the process easier. You can very well just look at the documentation and create the whole AND script. It should be the same, but just that all the different options and the flags, etc., that are used in Sahi, if you get confused on what is what, like using this AND target will make sure that you don't make a mistake in creating these. Okay, one question is, what is a native click? A native click is normally Sahi script, when it executes, events are triggered using JavaScript itself. So even when a browser is not in focus, it can click on different elements because the browser doesn't need to be in focus for JavaScript based events. But sometimes JavaScript events may not work on specific components. This is like very rare, and it may happen on some, like let's say you have a Silverlight based control or some other control that which you want to click on, which is not accessible via the DOM to click on. So in those cases, you can actually use a native click. A native click is where through Java we actually trigger an event from the OS level, as if a real user clicked on something. So because it originates from the user, from the OS level, the window needs to be in focus, and once the click happens, like everything will execute as the user had done. So it has its pros and cons. It can do things that the JavaScript events may not be able to do, but it also needs windows to be in focus, etc. So native events we use sparingly, but the ability to do that is useful. Native click is useful because if you had a Silverlight based file upload control, it is useful to be able to click it and proceed on that. So this editor is going to be only for JavaScript based Sahi scripts. That is what we will support in this editor. We will not be supporting Ruby, Python, Ruby, Java, etc. from this editor, because like you already have like good editors to do that. Okay, some of these queries are like trouble that you're facing with memory, etc. Please drop an email to support. We should be able to set up a session individually with you into that. That's a very good question. Was the Ruby gem updated with the new release? I'll have to check. Any improvements on the Flex support? Yes, we have added like a few bug fixes on the Flex support. So if you're using Flex, we can do a separate session with you for that. Can I install Sahi on a cloud server? Yes, you can. You can use AWS or like any other your own servers to install them. Touch events, are they supported like mouse events? There is limited support for touch-based events. You do have like tap and other APIs available in Sahi now. This was available in 5.12 also. What about Silverlight support? We do not have Silverlight support right now. In fact, like we wouldn't be working on Silverlight support. It's just that if at all you get caught in a place where you have a small component in Silverlight, native events will allow you to go past that. Well, okay. I think like I'll take questions for about 2 more minutes and then we can close it. Okay. On a distributed run, which folder does the script gets copied to? So this is a temporary folder into which it gets copied, and you have control over it in the ant target if you want to, but normally it's hidden. It's just like another folder inside the user data folder where it's copied. It executes everything, but the logs are adjusted to actually have the original script folder path in it. So when you look at the logs, you will actually see it as if it executed on the same machine and not on another machine on a temporary folder. There is a question on if what happens when the system goes into sleep mode. Now, when running Sahi scripts, you have to make sure that the system does not go into sleep mode, because if it does, your scripts will freeze and you will like not be able to execute. So you should make sure that it doesn't go into sleep mode. There are registry settings and there are configurations in Windows which allow you to do that. You should just do that to make it run. Okay, there are a few other tricky questions about WebGL support on Canvas or Canvas 3D 2D automation, etc. So in these cases where it is, we'll have to see the specific case to figure out like how to best automate it. So I think a separate support call may be a better way to do that. So for those of you who would like to contact us, support@sahipro.com is where you can contact us for support related queries. Sales@sahipro.com is where you can contact us for sales related queries. Well, that's it for now. Thanks a lot for the participation. And sorry to have kept you so late in the evening. So do let us know like your feedback and like how you find it. I should actually like also tell you that we have already found two bugs in 6.0 which may be bothering you during playback. If you do get that, I would suggest that you go to saipro.com/blog, which has an entry on issues and workarounds. So we will be keeping on updating this particular thing with whatever things we find and where like we feel that it's critical that the end user quickly fix it. So we'll add like what you need to do here. Having said that, like 6.0.1 is also underway. Like in the next week, it should be released, which has these bug fixes that we have found on that our users have reported when they've tried out 6.0. There are like 3 or 4 bugs which we think we need to actually push a release for. So 6.0.1 will also be available in next week. Till then, like if you're using 6.0, like this is one bug that you may encounter and you may want to actually use the solution available on the blog. Thank you very much, everyone. See you in the next webinar. Goodbye.